Hi guys, it's Paris showing face today because Spirit has been telling me since I started this, please explain why you're hiding. And that's because a religious background could be significant for you. I feel led to share this. I come from a very religious family, and my particular set of beliefs and me doing this would not be accepted. At least that's my perception of how I feel. Like it wouldn't necessarily be respected or accepted, but I'm not ashamed of what I believe in, because I know to my core that this is the right path for me. And I just want to step into it with no shame, which has been the theme of this month a lot for me, is releasing shame and guilt. So that could be significant for you. You could be in the process of trying to release feelings of shame and guilt around your self-esteem and just who you are and what you choose to do with your life and the path that you choose to walk in, and also settling into the feeling of having to walk it alone. And maybe there might be some fear around that, but the only way to move through fear is to do the thing that you're afraid of, and then settle into them and allow yourself to kind of settle into the energy of that. Some messages I got beforehand that is confirmation that this could be for you: 1111, 222, 333, 444, or 1234. Seen the Knight of Swords, the 2 and 3 of Pentacles, and also the 9 of Wands. I had a very, very vivid dream last night where I was bit by a bug so hard on like the side of my behind that it woke me up out of my sleep, and I felt around because it felt so real that I literally thought I had been bit, but it was because I was dreaming in such a vivid state, that it felt like reality. So you could be having some energetic attacks and people that are kind of nitpicking you, wanting you to stay in a previous or past energy, wanting to bring back that old version of you. You could be a retired crash out, and they're looking to invoke that in you. They're very uncomfortable with the growth and they don't know how to handle this current version of you, so they try to handle the current version of you like they handled the past version of you, expecting that you're going to show up in the same way that you have. But again, with that releasing shame and guilt, you could have released yourself from the shame and guilt of the previous state that you were in, and you could really be stepping into this new energy of love and acceptance for yourself, which radiates outwardly into the world. You could be seeing a lot of bugs around you. You may need to do some saging, energetic cleansing of some sort, to sort of release some of that negative energy. Saging is very simple. Look into the history of it and have respect for the ritual, but make sure that you do stuff like open up your door so that the negative energy has somewhere to flow out of. When you're saging, the new moon coming up can be a very significant time for you. You might want to do some new moon rituals, and ritual is simply a set of practices. So that could be journaling, that could be a visualization, meditation. Make sure you make your moon water, which is just distilled water in a glass jar. Set your intentions. Everything is about intentionality as far as spirituality goes. So you might want to set up some new moon rituals. I will be doing a 48-hour fast in preparation for the new moon. It's not necessary, but it's just something that I'm learning to integrate into my spiritual practice, and also just because it makes me feel very healthy and good in my body. You could be having some health issues. Fasting could be, do some research behind it, talk to your doctor about it, because it's not safe for everyone, but it could be a good way for your body to give your body some time to heal. As you're going through this energetic healing process, you also may need to be healing physically, but as you release certain emotions, you'll also notice that you're releasing things on a physical level and you're healing on a physical level. You could be purging and crying a lot and feel like you're not necessarily healing, but crying is a form of release. And then they'll get to a point where it's like you'll think about certain things from your past and there are no tears, and that is the signifier of having kind of healed at least some of that energy. A lot of past stuff could be coming up again, like I said a little bit ago, trying to draw you back into that previous version of yourself, but you are doing a wonderful job of not allowing it to, even if it's very tempting to. What else? Maybe seeing some blocks in some areas, specifically maybe around finances. This could be some blocks that are mainly mental or that you're putting on yourself. You could have grown up in an impoverished household or seen your parents kind of mishandle money, and subconsciously you could have taken on this sort of negative perception around money. You could say, money is the root of all evil or things like that. You have to be careful when you use your words, and because money is just an energy like everything else, and when you have that perception that it is your opposition, that it's not there to help you, and that it's evil, it's going to kind of get away from you. You're not going to be able to hold on to it, and you have to be feel like it's just important for you to heal your relationship with money, because sometimes even when we get a lump sum of money, if we don't feel like we're deserving of that, we will self-sabotage. So we'll give it all away, we'll spend it, we'll put ourselves in a worse financial position than we were in before we got the money. So sometimes if you're waiting on this abundance to come in and you've had a lot of readings regarding abundance, the thing that could be blocking your abundance is your own ideal and perception of and around money. You could be the curse breaker. I like to say the chain breaker of your family, which is simply just the person that the generational trauma feels safe expressing itself in. You may be the person that speaks on the things that, we don't talk about Bruno sort of energy. The things that that your family or those around you kind of want to ignore, you can't ignore it. You want to talk about it. You want to have an open conversation about it. You want to work through it. You want to know the family secrets, and you want to bring them into the light. You want to shed light in the darkness, and it can be, again, this very kind of isolating feeling. You could definitely be and have been in your hermit mode for most of your life. You could be questioning sometimes if you have a tribe, where's your safe place? Why don't people like you? It's not that people don't like you, it's that you make people very uncomfortable. And sometimes when you make people very uncomfortable because you hold this sort of mirror up to themselves about the things that they need to address and they need to work through, it can be very difficult for them to be around that sort of energy sometimes. But that does not mean that you need to stop doing what you're doing. It's absolutely necessary that you continue to show up and do exactly what you're doing. This is just like an evil eye anointed oil. It's called from Art of Root. Also good for like protecting your energy. Crystals as well, always crystalled up. I feel like that's significant for you to protect your energy, especially if you are, again, like in this chain breaker sort of energy. It's usually associated with like being an empath as well, because you feel so much and you also feel other people's emotions, and that can be a very burdensome job sometimes, because you pick things up like, like a lint roller to a carpet. Like you just pick up everything energetically. So it's important that you create a set of routines around how you want to protect yourself every day, and start it off in the morning and let that be your protection throughout the day. We're going to get into this reading, guys. Give them the message that they need to hear at this time. The message that is most divinely guided with the highest version of themselves, with their highest timeline. Speak to them through you, Spirit, for the highest good of all. Keep splitting the deck on the Empress. You could have this Empress energy. I got this card pulled earlier today in one of my readings that I watched on here. I believe her name starts with the Asima, I think. But you could possess this sort of Empress energy, this very abundant energy. Again, with the 3, 2, 3 could be significant. sort of divine alignment that you could be in right now. You could be settling more into this energy, finally feeling more comfortable with yourself, possibly for the very first time in your life. You could be very connected to nature. I was hearing this before. Nature respects you, and it's because you respect nature. Confirmation burp. It could be a very like symbiotic relationship. You could work in some sort of like job that has to do with like the preservation of the environment or taking care of the environment. You could be very much into like plants, have a home with a lot of plants, spend a lot of time like in a garden. You could sort of radiate this very grounded, very peaceful, very stable energy. And I spoke about this on my TikTok today as well, but like people look at you and they assume that like this level of like grace and stability was like handed to you, but you had to go through hell and high water to get to this point. You had to go through the storms, and that's what's created this sort of beautiful garden of positive energy and love that is around you, because you know what it's like to be the storm, not just be in the storm, but to embody that energy of the storm. The moon card flipped out. You could be very intuitive, very connected again to nature, to the elements, to the moon. I'm kind of drawing how this is like a moon sun sort of combination. You could have a beautiful balance between dark and light. Could have that water energy, Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer sort of energy. You could have children. They could also be intuitive. You could be feeling creative blocks around your communication as well as your creative endeavors with this sword and the wand kind of in the water and his back turned to them. You could be feeling like, you know, you were at one point in time in your life super creative, and it was just like a passion of yours. You were very talented in what you were doing, and now it feels like you're like disconnected from that part of yourself. But this will clear. Like I said, you seem to be like in this healing energy, in this healing process. Work on that sacral chakra, get deeper connected with that part of yourself, and it's going to help open up that block around creativity, but also work on your throat chakra so that you can open up the ability and feel more comfortable to communicate not just your needs, but this would also be around like you speaking on some sort of public space or public platform. You could have people that look up to you, even if you don't necessarily want to be in that position to be the person that's looked up to. And this could be around your perception of you not feeling like you are the sort of person that people should look up to. But I would implore you to ask yourself why you feel like you're not the sort of person that someone should look up to. Queen of Wands said that creative energy. You are creative. You may feel you're most comfortable when you're creating. You're most confident when you're creating. But you also could be very critical of what you create. Nine of Swords. I'm not great at the Roman numerals. The Nine of Swords. There could be people in your life that you thought that you would be carrying into this new chapter that are falling off, that are dropping like flies is what I'm hearing. People that you've been carrying on your back for quite some time. This journey of the warrior. This could have been in this energy for quite some time, where it was just a lot of darkness, a lot of heaviness, feeling physically cold. If you dealt with depression, you kind of know what that feeling feels like. It doesn't matter how warm it is. There's something internal in you that like feels cold and just numb. And you could have been in this energy for quite some time, and it also could have just not been your energy. But again, with this empathic sort of energy that you carry, you could have been holding on to the these heavier feelings of the people around you, taking responsibility for them, trying to carry them along, trying to uplift them, trying to bring them on this journey, trying to help them step into their empress or emperor energy. But that's not our job, right? The purest form of love has to, and I stand firm on this, it has to contain some level of detachment. We cannot save our parents, our siblings, our friends, our partners from themselves. We have to allow them the same grace that, however you identify with that higher power allows us to live this life with a certain level of free will. And if they choose to live a life of pain, that is their choice. We have to allow them that opportunity. If they don't want to take care of themselves, if they don't want to seek help, that is their right to not do that. It may not make sense to you, but not everything has to make sense for us to still show love to another person, or extend them grace, or just a level of understanding that I wouldn't choose this for you, but if this is what you choose for yourself, that's okay. But you carrying that around is not doing any good for you, and it's honestly not going to do any good for them either. You trying to change them. The Star, we got a lot of major arcana. You can have a lot of major shifts in your life right now. Like I said, a lot of things coming up, a lot of things being released, but also a lot of good things coming in. You have to remove and release the dead weight in order to step into a new energy. It reminds me of this conversation that I had with my client yesterday, where she was talking about, how she had lost a substantial amount of weight, and how the excess skin that she was carrying around was like carrying around this old version of herself that she no longer identified with, and how much of a cathartic experience it was to have, this excess skin removal, because it was just like this, just being able to ground and step into this new reality. And so you may literally be having to shed an entire energetic body that you were in at one point in order to step into this new reality, because the person that you need to be, I don't even feel right saying that, the person that you are and that you're bound to be cannot be carrying the same things that you used to carry. You cannot have the same mentality in a new reality. Mars. We got the Star card. This success, this elevation is going to irritate some people. They're going to come out of the woodworks with their opinions in there. I don't think that that's the right thing for you. I don't think you should be doing that. But you didn't come here to be digestible, and you didn't necessarily come here to be understood either. And I know that that can be a very hard pill to swallow, because I think, again, we all kind of crave to be understood. But you're the rebel. You embodying this energy of being different is what allows everybody else to realize, I can do what I want to do. And people may have their opinions about it, but an opinion, words are just empty air. Solana Del Rey, nope, that's Florence and Machine. She has a line in one of her songs, words, because words are empty air, and I use it a lot because it's just so true. Words are very important, don't get me wrong, but as far as the meaning that you take from a word when it comes from another person, that's on you. Let them say whatever they want to say. It's weak and ineffectual, the attempts that they're gonna have to try to discourage you and divert you off of this path. 2 cards came out. Yeah, confirmation of this Hermit energy that I talked about earlier. A lot of major arcana. I would love to please let me know if it resonates, because you're a cool individual. You are you've done a lot of work. And this work it's not easy at all, but you're doing such a great job handling very hard things, even if it doesn't feel like it, even if you don't show up perfect or in the way that you feel like you should all the time. You showing up alone is perfection in itself. You're doing a wonderful job. one bad day, a couple bad days, even a bad week does not mean that you're not exactly where you're supposed to be and you're not still moving forward in a very positive way. With this Hermit card, like I said, you could have carried this energy from childhood of being, draws me back to like this little girl, of being the person that was kind of left out. I used to sit in the pool hallway and eat lunch all throughout high school. And that's kind of what her like sitting there reminds me of, and just feeling very isolated, feeling very just out of place in all of the rooms that you've stepped in. But you could be creating this community that makes other people feel very safe, that makes other people not feel the way that you used to feel. With this sort of, again, like this pass the torch sort of energy, you could be lighting up an entire environment and connecting people through this very beautiful, welcoming environment that you're creating. And again, you may not want people to look up to you, but they're going to. That was part of your purpose of being here. This is part of the life path that you chose, is this leader sort of mentality. So you don't get to choose now that you don't want to do it. It's just not. I'm happy for you because you're well equipped. You have a lot of people in powerful positions that should not be there. Like, why? What, again, I ask you to ask yourself, what about you makes you feel like you're not deserving of it? And once you figure that out, then I need you to continue to do it until you do feel like you are deserving of it, until you truly believe that you are deserving of it, because you are. We got the Five of Cups. You could be moving out of this sort of, like I said, like heavy, depressed sort of fog. There could have been some things that didn't work out, and you're starting to see why they didn't work out. You didn't work out very loosely, because I believe literally everything is like for a divine reason or a higher purpose. There could have been some people that were almost like gloating. They came from this sort of snarky, sarcastic sort of energy, little sideways comments, because they seen you struggling and they took some level of enjoyment out of it, even if it wasn't externally. They definitely didn't give you any words of encouragement to try to lift you up, but they definitely took the time to talk behind your back or say little things while you were down. Forgive, but don't forget. Yeah. I'm not for forgiving and forget. I'm 100% for forgiving. I'm not for forgetting. And I don't mean holding it with this energy of holding resentment or anger, but remembering is part of the wisdom of not allowing people to go and re-offend. If somebody is laughing at you when you're down, that is a sadistic trait. That's not somebody that you need to have in your life or around. I'm going to pull 2 oracle cards, and then we're going to wrap this on up, guys. What does collective need to hear, Spirit? What does collective need to know? What does collective need to hear? What does collective need to know? You are feeling somewhat confused by events that are unfolding around you and the various seemingly contradictory information that are coming your way. Trust your instincts and do what they are telling you to do, and you will learn a lot about yourself and the direction you want to take in life. Don't let your doubts cause you any confusion. You really got to trust yourself. You are that guy, you are that girl. You have had enough life experience to make an informed decision for yourself. Don't keep reminding yourself of the things that you feel like you didn't do right. You did everything that was supposed to be done. It's okay to feel forgiveness and remorse. That's healthy. But having remorse and continuing to beat up on yourself for years and months and decades for something that you really might have did the best that you possibly knew how at that point in time is not fair to you. Don't allow negative emotions to fester. If you are feeling frustrated, angry, or hurt, for example, just acknowledge that. Instead of fighting your feelings, go with them and work with them. Then true healing can really begin. Yeah, and that kind of brings me back to this card in reverse. If you're feeling down, if you're, like I said, if you've had, some down days, and just don't expect perfection out of it. Whatever perfection is. I don't even like the word, because what is that? Like, what is that? What is that? And why is your expectation for you so much higher than it is for everybody else? Be nice to yourself. Therapist says that to me all the time. I've been going to her for 10 years, and it didn't hit until like the 10th year that I'm like, oh, I guess because I really am like, and I've moved a lot out of it, but like sometimes still like very like mean to myself, very like, if you don't wake up at the same time every day and you do the same exact thing every single day, like you're not doing enough. Like, no. You got to reparent yourself and heal that relationship with yourself, because that is going to make you trust yourself more when you feel safe with yourself. Yeah. I send you guys off with all the love in the world. I want to thank you so much for your time and your energy, and for listening to me. If you resonate with my energy and the readings, please feel free to subscribe, like, and comment. I hope you guys have a good night. Bye.